I'm in a serious relationship with my brother. Okay, so this is probably all going to sound extremely weird. Ever since I was 15, I've been in a serious relationship with my own brother. I'm male, 28 now, he's 30. We've always been extremely close. We grew up without our dad, and had to move a lot across the country. Therefore, we never really made a lot of friends during our childhood. We were pretty much all we had. My brother used to date quite a few girls when we were younger, and I've always been jealous. I never really knew how, but someday, I just started to see him differently. I wasn't jealous of him having all the girls while I never had a girlfriend. I was jealous of not being able to be with him the way they were able to. We grew pretty distant because of that, and then one day, he confronted me, asking what was wrong and why I was acting so strange. It all escalated, we kissed, I ran away, cliché, cliché, cliché. A few days later, he talked to me and we had sex. I just turned 15, then, he was 17. It's all really strange to explain. There's no one I feel closer to, no one I'm more comfortable with. He's my brother, he's my best friend, he's the one I'd like to marry. I'm not even sure I'm gay, it's just him. We've tried to stop a lot in the past, had girlfriends, but it just wasn't the same. We always go back to each other, and to be honest, I'm happy about that. So yeah. That's it. I'm in love with my brother. Feel free to AMA, I'll answer as soon as possible. My 47F life is destroyed and I'm beyond devastated. My husband, 34M, is having an affair with my son, 25M. A few months ago I noticed a change in my husband. We stopped having sex, which was very odd for us as we always had sex a few times a week. He also was more distant with affection and very secretive with his phone, and when I checked it he had changed his passcode, so I checked his laptop and same thing, change in password. We had always shared all that information even when we changed it, so it didn't feel right. I started to feel like he was having an affair, and a coworker agreed that his actions seemed odd. She suggested I hide a camera at home, especially as I travel for work. She actually offered me the one she had used to catch her ex-husband cheating. After a lot of internal debate I decided to do as she said, and I bought a camera I could watch through my phone as I prepared for a short business trip. I hid it in our living room at an angle that covered most of the room, but mainly aimed it at the front door, so I could see if anyone picked him up or came in with him. When I checked it a few hours ago, I was horrified and devastated to see my husband kissing my son. My life is ruined, just completely destroyed, and I don't know how to go on. A part of me never wants to leave this hotel room. I don't know if I can ever look at either of them again after this betrayal. How am I supposed to go on? My brother drunkenly confessed that he's in love with me and we're not real siblings. How do I face him now? I kept debating on whether I should write a follow-up, but ultimately I decided I should, since a lot of you were so helpful and reassuring when I really needed it. I called my brother the next day, when he had sobered up. I asked him if he remembered last night, and he said he didn't at all. I explained that I drove him back to his apartment, where he told me that we weren't real siblings, and I wanted him to elaborate more on this if this was true. He was silent for a moment and then said that this was something I needed to talk about with our parents, not him. I called our parents. They asked me how I had found out about this, and I said my brother told me. This came as a surprise to them because they thought both of us didn't know. We had a really long conversation, but I finally found out the truth. It's a long story and I won't reveal all the details because this is a personal family matter, but basically it turns out that both my brother and I were adopted. It was a long conversation, but a very fulfilling one. I cried not because I wasn't part of the family anymore, but because I knew we were still family, blood related or not. I feel very lucky to have grown up with such loving, caring parents and brother. A few minutes after our conversation ended, my brother actually drove over my apartment to check if I was okay. We talked about it, and apparently he had found out that we both had completely different parents, and he was in elementary school and eavesdropped on our mom's phone call with our aunt. He never told me because he knew I'd freak out about not being part of the family. He was right, of course. He said that I actually am taking the news better than he did, and admitted he had trouble coping with not being family as we grew up. We had a good talk where I said ultimately this doesn't matter because the fact that we consider each other as family is what's most important, and he agreed. Things between us are back to normal now. We went out for lunch, and he asked me if he had told me anything else last night when he was drunk. I didn't want to bring up the other part of his confession, so I just said no. He asked if I was absolutely sure he might have said anything strange to me. I said I didn't remember much, bad lie, but I really did not want to bring up the other topic. Then he told me that when he gets drunk he usually makes up a bunch of weird things, so if he ever blurts anything out, just forget about it. This made me feel a lot better about our situation after knowing he was that type of drunk. I actually feel really stupid for jumping to conclusions. I want to delete this post because it's so embarrassing that I've misunderstood something and have read it blow it even more out of proportion, but someone has already posted a copy and paste of the story, so it's too late now. Just know that the whole romance aspect of this story was a complete misinterpretation on my part, and let's just forget about it, please. My nerves have definitely settled now, and once again, I am very, very grateful for the family that I have. Anyway, that's it for the follow-up. Thanks for reading and understanding. TLDR, both my brother and I were adopted, but we are still part of a wonderful, caring family who love us no matter what. Everything is okay. Smiley face. Edit before I, finally, go to sleep. Thanks so much for the advice and comforting words. It's made me feel a lot more at ease about finding out my family's situation. I'm going to keep telling myself that even if I'm not biologically related to my brother/parents, I'm still part of a family who loves and cares for me like any other daughter, and I'm very lucky for that. Tomorrow, I will call my brother and parents to ask them if we are blood related. I will not bring up the love part in his confession since I think that was probably the result of alcohol. Most likely he didn't mean it. I didn't expect this to make it to the front page, but now that it has, I'm realizing that posting this online was a stupid idea, and I apologize for talking about something personal to my family. I felt extremely confused and scared, but now I've cleared my head a bit and know what to do tomorrow. Once again, thanks for the advice/comfort. Edit, to clarify, I am a girl, and he's a year older than me. A few hours ago my brother called me and was clearly drunk at the bar, which is odd because he doesn't drink often, especially alone. I told him to wait there so that I could pick him up and he wouldn't have to drive back to his place. When I met him I found out that he had broken up with his girlfriend of 2 years. To be honest, I'm surprised they didn't break up sooner. They got along well, but he never seemed attached to her. I think he only dated her because our family and friends always teased him about never having a girlfriend even though he was popular in school, played sports, etc. A lot of girls liked him, but he never seemed to be interested in anyone, so I always assumed that he might be gay. He acted a little strange while I was driving him. He kept reaching over and playing with my hair and saying, "You have pretty hair, you know that? I always thought your hair was pretty." This weirded me out a bit because he usually makes fun of my hair and never acts touchy-feely. I thought this was just the way he acted when drunk, so I laughed it off and figured I was going to make fun of him about this tomorrow. We got into his apartment and he said that he had something to tell me and there was a reason why he and his girlfriend broke up. I told him I knew already that he was gay, and he said no, I really didn't. Then he blurted out that he's in love with me. I couldn't say anything other than, "What?" and then he said that we're not real siblings. I freaked out and said, "Stop it, you're drunk, just go to sleep," and ran out. Now, I'm back at my place and I'm so confused. I don't know how I'm going to face my brother now. I'm trying to rationalize this, and maybe he wasn't thinking clearly since he was drunk. We're very close and have a good relationship, but it's not a gross, incestuous one at all. I remember when we lived together at home I'd try to sneak into his room and sleep there. I get scared of ghosts, especially after watching horror movies, and he would kick me off the bed and tell me to get out. There were a couple of times where he'd accidentally walk in on me while I was changing, and he always yelled at me to lock the door and acted grossed out. Even when we played video games, he hated it whenever I tackled him to try to mess him up and said I needed to stop or he wouldn't play with me anymore. So he has always acted repulsed by me and makes fun of me all the time, like a typical brother would. He has never made me feel uncomfortable or tried to make a move on me. He's a good guy. So there was no way that he would like me romantically, right? Right now, I don't know what to do and can't even sleep. I don't want to call my friends since they're also friends with him and we're all close. Our parents should be asleep right now, but I'm not sure if I want to call them either because I'm scared of finding out that we're not actually a family. I think that's what bothers me most about this whole situation, that I'll find out all this time I'm not part of the family after all. I'm afraid of bringing this topic up and finding out the truth. But eventually I'm going to have to talk to my brother, and when that time comes, what should I do? Should I explain what he said, or act like it never happened? Since he was drunk, he might not even remember tonight, plus it might not even be true. TLDR, thought my brother was gay because he didn't seem interested in other girls or his GF. He got drunk after he broke up with her, then confessed that he's in love with me and we're not real siblings. He never seemed to be romantically interested in me, so IDK if he just wasn't thinking clearly. How do I face him now? Sorry, this is so long. I'm just so confused and needed to get this off my chest because I don't have anyone else to turn to right now.